Hi, I'm Miss Wang. I'm one of the teachers for English 2 Honors. So welcome to Back to School Night, and just a little bit about myself first. I graduated from Rutgers, New Brunswick with a BA in English. I graduated from the Rutgers Graduate School of Education with an MA in Education, and I was previously teaching at Mount Olive High School. So these are just some general goals for my classroom and for my students. I want to expose my students to new literature, supplemented with meaningful and authentic conversations in the classroom. So for the start of this marking period, our honor students, my honor students are going to be reading The Hate You Give, and it's a pretty new novel, and it does deal with a lot of very relevant issues that we're seeing in society right now, a lot of prejudice, a lot of discrimination, and I want the students and I to have a very authentic, but also a very mature conversation about the social injustices that we're seeing in our world today that are reflected in the things that we read. I want to equip my students with the reading and writing skills that they will take with them throughout high school and beyond. I like to say and beyond because I understand that many of my students have college goals after high school, but I also have many bright students that will probably be embarking on a more vocational route, or some students might have an entrepreneurial spirit and might want to start something on their own. Whatever avenue they choose to take after high school, I'm hoping that the reading and writing skills that I impart on them this year will help them throughout the rest of their lives. I also want to promote career readiness skills, including critical thinking. Especially for my honor students, we are moving away from simple and basic comprehension questions. We are going to be diving into developing critical thinking skills, and we are going to be moving into talking about abstract concepts in class. And most importantly, if not the most important principle of my teaching pedagogy, I want to provide my students with a safe and socially and emotionally supportive environment. I know that the last year and a half has been extremely hectic for many of us, and I'm sure it has been difficult even for our students. And my goal is to hope that every time a student steps into my classroom, they understand that it is a place of learning, that there is no room for negative judgments, and particularly for my honor students, because classroom participation and being an active contributing member in class does count as part of their participation grade. I want my students to understand that they will never be penalized or punished for saying something wrong or incorrect. There is no such thing as saying something wrong in my class. We are simply creating more opportunities for learning. These are my student expectations for my classroom. My students are expected to develop autonomy and learn to ask for help and additional support when needed. I implore my students to be vocal about asking for help and needing extended deadlines to accommodate their busy lives. So I understand that my honor students, who are very high achieving students, who are extremely busy with their work throughout school and having to do their classwork after school, but also balancing their extracurriculars and anything they do outside of school, I am more than flexible when it comes to giving my students extra time. I would never deny a student extra time if it benefited them, if it meant that they would hand in quality work. But because these are honor students, I do expect them to take that initiative and be vocal and reach out to me and send me an email if they need that extra time to complete something. So in teaching, there's something called the warm demander approach. This was a term coined by an educator named Lisa Delpit, and she says that teachers should expect a great deal of their students, convince them of their own brilliance, and help them to reach their potential in a disciplined and structured environment, and that's exactly what my classroom is about. This is the very important classroom policy that is probably very new to all of my students. My classroom policy and procedures are listed on their Google Classroom that we've gone over, but this is the one very important rule that I know some other teachers, they might not implement. Some teachers don't accept late work, but I have a specific policy surrounding it, which is that if an assignment on Google Classroom requires digital submission, if it's something that needs to be submitted through Google Classroom, it will have a specific deadline, which includes a day and a time. So students who don't hand in their work, if their work is late, they have exactly 24 hours to submit for full credit. So I understand that sometimes we're busy, sometimes we just forget. If something is due Friday at 7 a.m., if it's not there Friday 7 a.m., it is going to be currently marked as late, but my students have exactly a 24-hour window to submit for full credit, which means as long as they hand it in by 7 a.m. on a Saturday, they will not lose any credit. Unfortunately, for my students who miss the 24-hour window, they will not receive credit. And Google Classroom digitally records the time of everything that's submitted. So if an assignment is handed in way past the 24-hour window and a student submits it at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night, unfortunately, I cannot give that student credit because they had an abundance of time that my other students did not have to complete something. Once again, my students who need additional help or time should send me an email to ask for extra time before the day that it's due, and I'm usually very accommodating with extra time. And lastly, how to contact me. If you have any questions, my email is wanga@dunellenschools.org. I also frequently reach out to parents when a student's progress in my class needs to be made aware, so please check your emails occasionally as well. Typically for my honor students, I don't really have those issues that much, but if I do, I will be reaching out to you first via email. I hope you have a really great back to school night, and I'm really excited to have all of your children in my English 2 honors class for the year.